Welcome, everyone, to episode 83 of the Missing Pieces podcast. If this is your first time watching or listening, my name is Greg, and this is where I sit down and I discuss my life, Lego, and anything else that's on my mind. And this week, in this episode, we're going to start this one off with my win of the week. You guys know I feel like wins of the week are very powerful ways, not only in sharing mine, but sharing yours to get people motivated and inspired. And I set a goal for myself in last episode where I wanted to document more of my life. I wanted to share my solo vlogs, the things I'm doing during the day, because I love having a record of my life. And I just find it very fascinating when I find other people that are authentically sharing like what they're doing and the things that they're up to. And I get inspired by these things to like do things on my own. So I thought, I share who I am, and that's what I've built everything off of. And I thought, I want to document more of this because I've really been enjoying this solo life that I've been living. As bad as that seems to say, like Clark and I have spent years and years together, every single day, every waking moment sharing this. And now he's off to school, and it's kind of like a new chapter for him, which he's enjoying. And I'm in a new chapter as well, which is like, what are my things that I want to do? What are the things that I want to accomplish? And this week I decided that I was going to start documenting whatever that is, even things that are seemingly boring. I thought, you know what? Let me just start recording it. And what I found, and this is why I'm sharing this as my win of the week. What I found is that even when you just record the boring stuff, it oftentimes turns into a very interesting story that I'm very excited to edit up and share with the world. And it's so wild. And I know like making vlogs or becoming a vlogger isn't something that I would think many people want to do, or even sharing your life isn't something people want to do because most people are kind of guarded. Most people don't want to put that kind of stuff out there. And that's totally, I think, normal, right? But I'm weird, and I'm happy to accept that. And I recorded probably 3 or 4 days of my week this week that I was just like doing some miscellaneous things. And it was like encouraging for me. And I feel like I'm more productive and I get more done when I have this responsibility where it's like, okay, today, Greg, it's Tuesday. What are we doing today? We got to find something to do. And that's how I've always run things when it was myself and Clark, man. It was like, all right, we're going to be making a vlog today. We're going to be making a Lego video today. Like, what do we want to do? When you don't have that, or at least this is from my perspective, not yours. So I shouldn't say you. When I don't have that, I sometimes feel unmotivated. And maybe you felt this way before where you kind of just like, I'll get that done tomorrow. But when you have this commitment to yourself and not even to anyone else, because I've learned, and we've talked about this last week, my commitment's to myself. I don't owe you guys anything. You don't owe me anything. This is a free exchange. And I'm doing this for me, and I'm happy that I did. Because this week, I told you it was seemingly boring, but most of my stuff this week involved things that I was doing to my car. If you guys have been following along with the last few episodes here, maybe even going back several episodes, I was in the market for a new vehicle. To give you some backstory on what we currently have, I have a 2013 Subaru Crosstrek, which I absolutely love. We bought it brand new off the lot in 2013, and it's been the vehicle that has transported me to everything and anything that I've done in the last, 8 years now. When we bought the vehicle, it was just myself, Mrs. Brickitect, and Roxy Bear. It was a pretty small family, and then we added Clark Man on, so the family got a little bigger. The family's not getting any bigger, if you think that's where I'm going, but going on trips and vacations and things like that, that car is packed to the brim. If you don't know what a Crosstrek is, it's a Subaru Impreza on a jacked up wheelbase, so it kind of looks like an off-road Impreza, and it's just a 4-door wagon, and it doesn't have a whole lot of storage space. And I've had people come up to me, and they're like, I love your car. Do you like it? And I say, absolutely. I've driven this thing now for 84,000 miles. I've done 0 things to it outside of just normal maintenance, like oil changes, tire rotations, new tires, things like that. Just standard things that you would do to a vehicle that is on the road for that many years. So it's been great. But the lack of storage space is the thing that I tell people, like, hey, this is the one thing I don't like about it, is that you can't fit a whole lot of stuff in the back. And when we do things or when we buy things or travel, it gets pretty tight in there. So I was looking at third row SUVs, and I did a whole ton of research, and it turns out, and I was shocked by this because I didn't have a high opinion of this company, but Kia, the Korean company, South Korea, I think, company Kia, apparently makes the best third row SUV, and it's called the Kia Telluride. I watched so many videos on this vehicle, and I watched all these comparison videos on other mid-sized SUVs that are in the same market as that, and I just did like massive amounts of research because that's what I do. I before I make a purchase, I'm like a very dedicated person and determined to know everything there is to know before I make a decision. When I make a decision, I make the right decision mostly because I do all this research. I'm not a very impulsive person, and I would say I lead on the side of indecisiveness a little bit because I don't like having too many options. It overwhelms me. Like if I go clothes shopping, for example, I love having Mrs. Brickitect along because it's like walk in the store and I'm overwhelmed. I need somebody to kind of guide me and be like, yeah, that looks good, that doesn't. That's why I wear black t-shirts all the time because I have no fashion sense. Greg's gardening tips, that's my fashion sense. If you didn't see that video, we'll be talking about that here in a minute. But where was I going with this? I guess what I'm saying is that I did a ton of research, committed myself to this Kia Telluride, and I was like, I want the white color I want the SX trim level, which is the highest trim level you can get. Figured I was going to go all out on this, and I was going to get like this upgraded like prestige package, and it was just going to be, this is going to be my next car for the next 10 to 15 years most likely. So I was like, I'm going all in. That wasn't until I went to the Kia dealership and I was like, hey, I would like to test drive a Kia Telluride. And they look at me and then they basically did one of those, like they're laughing at you because apparently you can't buy a Kia Telluride even if you want to. I'm going to adjust my microphone here a little bit. One week I did this podcast and I was so upset because the microphone wasn't positioned right and the audio wasn't up to my standards, but you probably didn't even notice until right now. And maybe you didn't even notice at all, but I did. So I need a lav mic, I think. I have one. There's a microphone literally right here above my head. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can download it there for free and no ads. And there's not any ads on this anyway, except for the first one that you see. Thanks to our patrons. This is an advertising spot right now. Let's skip all that though. I'm just letting you guys know that these things are out here, right? We're out here. Should I start over? Anyways, I can't even say that anymore thanks to Bizarretect. But I went there. They're like, dude, we can't. These things are pre-sold before they come to the dealership, and we're putting a $5,000 markup on these. To put that into perspective, the one that I was looking at was going to cost somewhere between like $45,000 and $47,000, which is way more than I've ever spent on a vehicle. The Subaru was $23,000 when we bought it 8 years ago, and I was tickled at the time to get that. Like, I was awesome. I did take a loan out on it back in the day, but we paid it off very quickly, and I've had a free car ever since, and that, you guys know, going into debt isn't my thing. I despise it. I used to put people in debt for a living, and I wanted nothing more for these people than to do the opposite of what I was supposedly helping them do. They left happy campers, but I left with like a hole in my heart because I knew that these people were worse off when they left than when they came in, at least in my opinion. But for some of these people, getting a car or whatever it is, like sometimes is necessary, but to see people that would come in for a loan for a vacation that you're paying interest on, that you can't seemingly afford, but then are going to try to afford through monthly installments with interest, it baffled me. But I was representing a company and I was doing my job and I did it well. I would just rather be a debt counselor and help people get out of that than to put people in. But that was just my perspective on it. And I didn't know we were going to go this way, but I really felt like a sellout because I was doing something I didn't necessarily believe in. I guess it'd be akin to you're a vegetarian and you are working at a slaughterhouse where you're killing cows for beef. That's kind of how I felt, only not quite as drastic. And again, people thought I did a great job, and I felt like I did. But I'm much happier doing what I do now. I feel like I'm just sharing my life in videos and things like that, but through the feedback that I get from people, that sometimes does get me emotional. I know there's a lot more to it than that. In fact, I had an Instagram conversation yesterday that really meant a great deal to me. So I feel like I'm impacting way more people in this, and in a much more positive way. But let's go back to the car situation. They told me that these things are pre-sold. We're just jumping all over here, and I love it. They're pre-sold before they even get there. They're marking them up by $5,000. If I wanted one, I most likely couldn't get one until the very end of this year into next year. It'd be a 2022 model, and they're going to overcharge me on it. And I was like, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks. I'm good. So that led me on a path of test driving some other vehicles. I test drove a Jeep Grand Cherokee. I test drove a Toyota Highlander, and I just didn't love them. And looking at the price tags on them, they were both 40,000-ish or so. I was like, okay, I have my brand used, paid off Subaru Crosstrek that I love. It just doesn't have a lot of space, and it's serving me well. Is this thing that I'm about to buy, and you should question this anytime you're about to buy something, is this thing that I'm about to buy worth what I'm going to pay for it? Will it provide me enough value? So am I getting $40,000 of value out of a third row SUV? And the answer was no. Really no. My thoughts were the Subaru has served us fine. Sure, it's a little cramped when we have it packed, but most of the time we don't. And the car's great. It's paid off. There's no reason for me to actually make this move and to, at the very least, get something that isn't my first choice. Now, if the Kia was available, I probably would have pulled the trigger on that. Would I have taken debt out on it? Possibly, just to keep my credit active, because all we have are credit cards that we pay off each month. And what I would have done is taken that out at a super low interest rate, hopefully, with our credit score. And then I would have paid on it for maybe a year or two and then paid it off and been done. Unless I got 0%. If that was the case, I let that bad boy ride all the way until the horizon, because that's free money. You're actually making money if you borrow at 0%. But try not to get yourself in debt regardless, guys. I made the decision I'm just going to hold on to the Subaru. And as such, that kind of leads me into what I vlogged this week. This story all comes back around in a circle, my friends. And that was, I was doing a lot of stuff to my car. I'm like, okay, if I'm keeping the Subaru, I'm going to get this bad boy set up the way that I want it. So the first thing I did is something that I should have done 8 years ago. And that was bought this really nice seat cover for the back seat where Roxy Bear sits. Currently, or prior to this, I had a blanket back there that I would put in every time she'd get in, and I would get it all just right, and then she'd sit on it, and it would fall down, and it would go on the floor and stuff, and it was nightmarish. And I don't know what took me so long, but my mother-in-law, I guess I know what took me so long. My mother-in-law, they got a Subaru Forester, and they had this really great seat cover in the back, and I'm like, I need one of those. So I was inspired, and I got a black one, and I loved it. In addition to that, I also got a car vacuum that plugs into like the outlet that's inside there. And I got my car looking really great inside, and I got my car looking really great on the outside. Got it washed, cleaned up myself. It's looking stunning. And a part of like ownership, and I've realized this week too, because I cleaned out the garage, there's a great sense of pride in ownership when you take care of the thing you have and make it clean and orderly. And I spent like last weekend really sorting the garage out and getting it nice. I did that with my car, got it all cleaned up. I cleaned the inside, did the interior wipes, leather wipes, all of that. In fact, YouTube, I don't know if they sensed this on me or what, but maybe it's because I was looking up car vacuums. I found this guy that does nothing but detailing disgusting vehicles. And it's the most satisfying thing to watch ever. Like, he had like this old dirty farm truck that he brought in and cleaned this thing up to it looked like it came off the showroom. And I was like, wow, the pride in ownership is such an important thing. And I'm taking this in like every aspect of my life, where I'm going to try to really get things clean and orderly and organized, and just be at peace and have pride. That's, I think, a really important thing that I'm realizing now. And that's what happened with my car. So in addition to that, in addition to getting it cleaned up, I got new tires on it this week, which was much needed. I was holding off on the whole tire thing because I was like, if I'm trading in, I'm not going to put new tires on it. And speaking of trade-ins, a thing that hurt my soul when I was discussing with these companies about buying their vehicle, my second and third choices or whatever, and trading in the Subaru, was that they were giving me a very low value on my Subaru. And again, it comes back to, this thing is worth more to me than it is to you. Like, I was looking up the retail on my Subaru, and they hold their value well. After 8 years of buying it for $23,000 retail, these currently sell, if you were to buy my exact vehicle, it'd sell for about $15,000. Which is remarkable. You know, I drove this thing for 8 years, put 80,000 miles on it, and you could sell it for 15 right now. The car market, by the way, is a very crazy place right now. I wanted to look at a Toyota 4Runner. Can't even drive one. 2 years ago, we bought this is brickitect's truck. They had a whole lineup of Tacomas and 4Runners. It's impossible. The car industry is like shook right now. So not a great time to buy or a great time to negotiate either, but that's beside the point. They were offering me, on this Subaru, they were offering me $7,500 to like $8,000 for a trade. And I'm just like, okay, so you're selling me a car for $40,000+. My car, which you're probably going to sell for 15, you're giving me like 7 or 8 for. It's just not worth it. The numbers don't work out. I'm much better off just holding it. And I think I made the right decision. You can weigh in on it. Your opinion doesn't matter. Like, if you tell me, no, Greg, you should have bought a new car, it doesn't matter at this point because I'm already committed. But your opinion does matter to me. Don't get that wrong. Your opinion does matter. It's just, I'm committed at this point. I didn't consult with you. I'm sorry. Maybe in this relationship I should have, but I don't think so. So I got the new tires, got it inspected, passed with flying colors, of course. And on Friday, I got a hitch put onto it. So this thing, like, because I have a bike rack, and well, I'm buying a new bike rack because the current bike rack I have goes like on the back hatch and through the windows and clicks in like to all this stuff. Like it hooks on and it's really janky. So I want one of those bike racks that you put into the hitch and then you hang your bikes on it or you put them on a platform. And I got the first part of that, which is the hitch. Now I just need to figure out what type of rack that I want to get. I'm probably going to go with a hanging one so I can fit 3 bikes on it. So Clark Man can have his bike on there as well. So when we go on family rides. Also, this morning I bought crossbars that go across the top because I want to be able to put my kayak on top of the Subaru and take that to the lake, which I'm going to be doing like vlogs from there. But my back to the whole beginning of this. And what I've been documenting with my life this week was a lot of the car stuff that I was doing, because that was a part of it, but so much else too. Like I was just documenting my days. And again, I enjoyed that. I'm happy with the direction I'm going with that. I'm happy with the car decision. I'm happy with just my plan that I set forth. Again, I apologize for not consulting with you first, but I'm good with this. We'll ride this out for at least a year. We'll see what things are looking like next spring with the Kia Tellurides. If the situation with the inventory and the demand kind of levels out, because we got low inventory and high demand, that's why these places are doing this. And the dealer said in the cities they're charging upwards of 10 or 15,000 over MSRP on these. Which, if you're spending $60,000 on a $45,000 vehicle, you're just an idiot. I can just put that out there. Sorry if that's you that did that. I hope not. But we'll ride this out. I'll get another year out of my Subaru. I put 5,500 miles on that thing last year, and that's not a lot. So even if I drive this thing for a whole nother year, I'm still not going to be at 90,000 miles most likely. Although I might, because I've got a lot of plans for this summer in terms of outdoor activities, camping, traveling. We're going to be driving it to North Carolina. We're driving it to Ocean City, Maryland. Like there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens with this that didn't happen in 2020, unfortunately. But we're not going to go back there. We're looking to the future and we're looking forward. Another thing that happened this week, again, I vlogged this, so it feels silly. Like I really started thinking about missing pieces this week, and I debated whether to not do this because it's like, it's weird a little bit. I know people like to consume different styles of content, but it's weird that I did something last week. I recorded myself doing it. I have intentions of uploading that video showing myself doing it, yet I'm still here talking about doing it. But this kind of gives you, it's like the director's cut. This gives you like the behind the scenes stuff, and we can talk more in depth about such things. But I was really questioning it. The thing that really kind of inspired me to do this was I get so much feedback from people that how much this series means to you. And I really don't take that for granted at all. So for me, like just being here and being consistent with this every Sunday, I'm doing this for you. I mean that. Like, this is for you. So I want to talk to you about another thing that happened to me this week. We are going to talk about Lego at some point, but I want to talk about Tuesday. Clark Man played hooky. He missed his first day at school. Don't tell his teacher. She knows he missed, but not why. It was Pap's 65th birthday. They were up at camp. It was a beautiful day, and I decided that I'd pull Clark Man out of school for the day. We go up there and hang out with him, have a great birthday, and also run some RC trucks. You know, there's always that. A beautiful day, we got some creek, we got some rocks. Let's take the rock crawler out, baby. So we filmed our first RC video of 2021. I know there's people out there right now just like stoked because I get asked about it all the time. RC season is back, just like yard sale season is, and it was a great time up there. We had a nice dinner. I took a dessert up, which ended up coming home with us, and then I ate more of that, and Mrs. Brickitect did too, which definitely derailed the whole diet situation. But May is my time. I've been taking Roxy for walks in the morning now. We go on the bike path, which is right by Clark's school. So we go on the bike path, take her for a walk. I listen to a podcast, not my own, someone else's, and it's been great. I feel like things are just kind of like falling in place right now. That being said, I told you I'd talk about Lego. Now's the time. I haven't had much time for Lego. I haven't done a lot of building. The one thing that I did build, I'll hold it up here, built this with the patrons Friday night, last 2 Friday nights. This is Zane's Titan mech, which I'm not a huge fan of, and I'll make a video explaining why. I actually have a comparison video that we did Friday night that they suggested I actually make a video, and I think it's going to be a great one. What I have been doing this week with Lego, or Lego-related news, is I've been really enjoying the heck out of my green screen. You guys have seen the videos, I think. I did the Is Brickitect Buying It Spring Edition, got all caught up on that. So now I can kind of be up to date on news when it happens because I know people like to hear my take on it. Even though I'm not the first to deliver it, I deliver my thoughts, and that's all I got. So I've been doing that as Brickitect Buying It. That was a fun video to do with my White Void. And then I did a Greg's Gardening Tips video something that I have gotten tons of requests for since I did the first one. And this one, I think, I took it to the next level with the production. I feel like with the green screen and being in the garden versus the other one. This one, people actually realize that it's a joke, I think. Whereas the other one, people were just like, this guy knows nothing about Star Wars. If you haven't been around long enough, look up why the 501st Battle Pack is terrible. Watch that video, and then you're just gonna like face palm yourself because of the cringe, probably. But I just want to have fun with this. I don't want to sit down and do a review. I really don't. I want to make funny videos. I want to do things that are entertaining. I want to use my green screen, which has been so far a great investment for 2021. I've made several videos at it. I got others planned. I've got requests for other YouTubers to impersonate them, like I did Brickzar. Brickzar made a video this week of brickitect, which was funny. If you haven't seen that, go check out his channel. That one was good. And if you listen to Missing Pieces, you're going to appreciate it even more because of one of the or several of the jokes that are in there. I think you'll really appreciate. I do want to talk about one other Lego related thing here, and that is my space coin. I did a video this week showing off my space coin and how I got it, and I didn't even realize at the time. It wasn't until Felix from Patreon, he was in the Discord, and he's like, "You're missing a screw," and I was like, "No!" I came running down here and I looked, and it was missing a screw in the one corner. It's behind me here. I don't have it on hand, but it certainly was missing a screw, and I was like, "Sugar Shack." So I messaged Lego, and I was like, well, actually, I went to do Lego chat on their website. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon one day, and it says chat is not available. Call us. So I called, and then they said that their people are in a training meeting. I'm like, the entire customer service staff is in a training meeting. Like, if I was trying to order $2,000 worth of Lego sets right now on your website, and I just need one little piece of help, you're going to let that sale go because all of your employees are in a training meeting. I don't know if that's just a cover or what it was. So I ended up emailing them. They emailed me back, said that they're sold out. I didn't want a new coin. I just wanted a screw or a new case or whatever. They can't do that for me, but they gave me all of my VIP points back that I used to pay for it. So I thought that was a nice gesture. And Brad reached out to me, another Patreon detector, and he found the screws. So he's going to send me the screw. And I'm just like, dude, that's amazing. It's crazy to have like a network of people in your corner that are like looking out for you. And I'm so appreciative of that. Not only with like notifying me of the screw thing, which maybe I would have found out sooner or later. I imagine there's probably other comments in the video like, hey, it's missing a screw, but that's where I found it out. And then to have the resolution come from essentially the same place is really cool. So that was a bit bummed. That was a bit bummed. New sentence here on Missing Pieces. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Let's talk about my next thing that I'm getting into. This is a dangerous world, my friends. I've talked about card collecting, and I sort of have gotten into that inadvertently. I went out last weekend looking for Lego, and if you saw my Greg's World video, which I posted on my community tab here on brickitect, I ended up not finding Lego, but I found a huge thing of Pokemon cards, like a giant bin. The lady claims there's like 800 cards there. She wanted $15 for it. And I thought, what the heck? I can probably find something in here to flip or collectively flip these. I assumed that it was a collection that they had gone through and pulled all the good stuff out. But I messaged my buddy Dave of Scott's Toys, which we're going to talk about him here in a second. And I was like, hey, Dave, I got all these Pokemon cards. I know you and Scott know a lot about Pokemon. What do I do here? And he told me like to look for like a circle or a diamond or a star. And that indicates how rare they are, I guess. In that order. And then also the shiny ones, which are like holographic cards or something. Like, this is how little I know about Pokemon cards. Like, literally nothing. But I sat down for like maybe 30 minutes and I started going through these, and I found a couple of them that seemed to be somewhat rare. They're actually in sleeves, and I took pictures of them for Dave, and he's like, dude, like these are worth some money. Like, the one was worth like $80, $50. There was like 5 different cards there that were valued. And I was like, this is a pure collection. This isn't one that had been gone through. Like, this is the kid's collection. It even says on the thing, I forget the kid's name, but it said like so and so's Pokemon, don't touch. It says on like the pack, and or like the holder of the cards, and I was just like, dude, this could be something. So this might be my seed money. I'm not necessarily going all in on cards per se, but I am going to get into reselling because of Dave. Dave, I tell you, these guys that I find, I started this episode off saying how in sharing what your interests are or your life or whatever, it can inspire other people. And I've been on both sides of that, it seems. And, I love Builder Buds. I watch him do his thing, and he got me into the card scene, and he does all kinds of fun stuff. You guys got to subscribe to him, man. You got to, Ronnie is his name. I'm going to put his link down below. I'm also going to put Dave's link down below. I'd love it if you guys could go over and show these guys some love. They both have a little bit smaller channels, but deserve way more than what they're getting. And I know you guys that are listening to this are the type of people that I really would love to send over to them, because you guys are super supportive. So Builder Buds, Scott's Toys. So Dave, he's into the reselling game, and he's kind of converted his channel over into Lego investing and like finding things at garage sales, yard sales, which is probably one of the loves of my life. And then flipping them and selling them on eBay. And these guys infiltrate my brain, because I'm at Walmart, kind of just casually looking around. I go in the clearance section. I find these golf marker things, which I don't even know. I think it's for like when you hit a golf ball and the golf ball lands. You pick your ball up and put a marker down from Callaway. I found these things for $1. They're selling for like $7 on eBay. I bought 11 of them, so I'm $11 in. I'm going to put them on eBay. I'm going to sell these things and hopefully walk away with, $70 or whatever. And it made me realize, watching Dave's videos and doing this, made me realize how much I love this. Like, I love the idea of deal hunting, going to thrift stores, finding things that are fun and interesting, documenting that, my favorite part of it, and then like putting it on, selling it, and kind of, making a profit off of it. And I could really see this being my direction going forward. Like, these days that I have free, drop Clarkman off and I just go out hunting. Lego hunting, toy hunting, flipping. He's doing Amazon Marketplace or Fulfilled by Amazon. Fascinating stuff what Lego's going for if you sit on it for a while. And I'm just like, I see that being a part of my future. So I owe that to Dave to inspire me. I've been watching his videos religiously. It's just, that's this type of stuff I love to watch. And Builder Buds is the one that inspired me to do like the dad vlogs or the solo vlogs, because he's just living his life and sharing it. And I'm just curious what he's up to. He talks about a movie. I want to go watch that movie, right? Like, I don't know. I love this community, dude. I just love it. Have I said that before? But speaking of watching things, perfect transition into Watchitect. We binged Cobra Kai Season 3 this week. We're late to the game. I don't know what happened. Like, we binged Season 1 and 2. We're waiting for 3, and then we never watched it. Season 3 is good. It's a little out there. It got a little out there at the end of Season 2. No spoilers here. But if you've ever watched the Karate Kid movies, highly recommend Cobra Kai. 3 seasons on Netflix. You can just binge out with your yinge out. And Season 3, it's a little crazy. If you never watched Karate Kid ever, you could still watch this and enjoy it. I think having that backstory, though, kind of helps. And that also helps in the other thing that I'm watching right now, which is The Queen's Gambit. We just started binging this. There's only 7 episodes. We're about halfway through. I don't know how to play chess still, but I'm apparently going to learn because Cody bought a new chess set for us. We're not playing the Lego one, apparently. I don't know why not. But she wants to teach Clark chess, so I figure I'll learn at the same time as Clark, and then he can whoop on me in the world of chess. The Queen's Gambit is a show about chess. It's kind of mature audiences. If there's some drug use and some adult themes in it, but really enjoying it. So those are the 2 things we're kind of watching together. On my own, I'm watching something that Cody has no interest in, and that's called The Last Dance, which is the story of the 97-98 Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. You know the crew. They had unprecedented access to these filmographers that were going to document their last year together. Everyone knew it was going to be, and it takes you through that entire season, plus the backstories on Michael, Scottie, and Dennis. So I'm enjoying that. I watched some of that while I was getting my tires put on my car and the inspection as well, and the hitch. So that's how I was able to watch so much stuff this week. I haven't played any games, nothing for Gamer Tech News. There is something for Reader Tech News, which is happening right now as the sun comes in and glistens our background and takes away my blue foreground here. I'm listening to Steve Jobs' biography by Walter Isaacson as an audiobook on Audible. I've had it downloaded a long time. It's a super long book. But again, if you want to talk about inspiring people that have impacted the world in massive ways, Steve Jobs is definitely on that list, regardless of what you think about him or if you're an Apple fanboy like myself or you're not. But that was pretty much my week. Now I'd like to jump into some listener feedback. Follow up on last week as I take a little bit of a drink here. No edits on this. Drinking out of my Life is Good yellow container that I love so much. You can hear the water go down my throat. I hope not. Anyways, I'm giving an experience to the podcast listeners, guys. This is for them, okay? Maybe we can get a little ASMR slosh. That was for you guys. Leave a like. Let's talk about last week's episode, keeping it too real. I questioned during the episode leading up to last week, am I keeping it too real on here? Should I not be sharing such personal stuff? I came to the conclusion that no, yes, I should be keeping it personal. That is what I love to do. This is my therapy session as far as I'm concerned. And I just love putting this out there. And I do this for you guys as much as I do it for myself, because this is like, it's a place for me to get my ideas out and to share things and kind of just like document it, I guess. Like someday I'll probably come back as an old man and watch these episodes and be like, oh, Greg, you were so foolish back then. But that's where we're at. And there's going to be times where I share things that maybe rub you the wrong way. That happened when I talked about the Apple Podcasts thing and the reviews. And I think that's okay, because that's how I felt at the time. And for me to hide that or to not share that seems silly. But that's kind of what some of these comments are what I'm alluding to here. So let's read the first one, which is from Ryan. He says, I don't usually make comments, primarily because I listen to your podcast on Spotify, though I made a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts a while back. This guy's a legend, absolute legend. He says to me, I don't think you can ever be too real. I personally listen to you because you're authentic. I don't like reading the positive stuff. It like makes me a little uncomfortable, but I appreciate the kind words. He says, on YouTube in general nowadays, people always exaggerate the good and understate the bad things. That I agree with. Absolutely. You're smiling on the top of Mount Everest in your Instagram photo. You don't talk about the struggle it was to get there, or the fight you had with your climbing partner and you stabbed him in the face and he's dead on the ice. You don't talk about that, right? You talk about the good things. It's a little dramatic. Anyways, he says, you are the opposite. You talk about them as they are important things, because they are. I agree. This gives your podcast a different vibe than what's usually found on the platform. And for that, I enjoy this podcast. That's why I've been listening since day one. Plus, I wouldn't keeping it real benefit you. You always compare this podcast to therapy, primarily because you speak your mind and people give their advice. So in a way, wouldn't you be losing your free therapy session by not giving the full story? He's got a great point here. Continue keeping it as real as you want. I think it would only benefit yourself. I think so too. And I'm trying not to seek the, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to seek like feedback from you guys to feel good about myself, and that's not what I need to be doing. That's the whole debacle that I got into a few weeks ago. Like I was really just kind of caught up on that. Like I really need this feedback from you so I know I'm doing the right thing. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. I know where I'm going. I know my direction. It might be the wrong direction, but that's not for any of us to really judge, right? I can talk to you about that later when I'm like, dude, I messed up, and this is why you shouldn't do that. And that's the only advice that I can really give you guys, is the things that I've done wrong. But I don't need you to tell me what I'm doing right or wrong. Like I'm just sharing my authentic self, and is the way that I see it. And this is going to seem a little cold. You can either you can listen to that and maybe respect it if it's something you don't agree with, if I say something that like maybe rubs you the wrong way, like I said earlier, or you can just bail. Like this isn't something that you have to sit through, right? Like this is a commitment. We're 30 some minutes into a podcast where I'm consuming your day right now. And if you don't like the direction this is going, that's totally understandable. There's tons of other podcasts out there. Maybe not exactly like this, but they're out there, and maybe you're better suited to something like that. Like if you came here looking for a Lego podcast, for example, because it's on a Lego channel, and you thought, okay, he's going to talk about all the new Lego news and all the leaks and all that. This probably isn't for you. But do you decide to stay? Maybe you like the thing that's outside of that. Maybe you like the personal nature of this. I do this because I feel like it creates a connection that you don't ordinarily find on a Lego channel, and that's why I love it. And if I was sitting here talking every week about Lego, I probably wouldn't be doing this anymore, because it's not something that I'm overly passionate about, which sounds crazy coming from a guy that does Lego for a living, but it's not talking about Lego that I love. It's the experience. It's sharing that with my son. It's making videos related to it. It's finding deals. It's doing the hauls. It's searching for it at yard sales. That's what I love. I don't love the discussion. You know what I mean? Like I can sit down and say, is brickitect buying it? That's fine. But I don't want to sit down for an hour every week and talk about Lego. I've been there and done that, and I'm enjoying this much more. Let's go on to the next one. This is from Canadian, who's a Patreon texter. A little bit of a younger guy, but a really, really good kid, and I'm super happy to have him in our community here. He says, hey Greg, this episode really showed what Missing Pieces is about. One of the many reasons I love all your channels is because you keep it real, right? Like I was questioning, do I keep it too real? Canadian says no. Though on the outside, many people think your channel is about a perfect family. It's not. You show everything, like happy moments, like family vacations, and the hard times, like the deteriorating health of Roxy and your parents. I'm really happy you shared about the reviews as it dove into the field of feeling underappreciated, which is something I feel a lot. I often find my parents always focus on the little things I'm doing wrong and rarely highlight the things I'm good at. It makes me sad. He says, so I took your advice to heart, and I don't need to seek recognition, and nobody owes me anything. And my self-pride should be enough. I'm not going to get emotional. Bizarre Tech. As you may know, I've been having some bad weeks, but both Andy and Felix told me on Friday night stream that a good week can be a mindset. This week, I'm going to try my absolute hardest to appreciate every small moment and focus less on the bad and more on the good. I hope if anyone else is struggling with similar things, they can appreciate this comment. And that sentence right there is why I felt the need to share this, because it's very easy to focus on why my life's not going right, or, oh man, I missed one question on that test. And you don't think that you got every one of them right outside of that. Like, it's so, and I've done this. This is a YouTuber problem too. First world YouTuber problem. You guys could all leave really nice comments for me. And I'd be like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. Oh, that made me cry. But then I see the one that's like, Greg, you suck at life, and you see that comment and you're just like, it stings. Like, that's what you focus on. And I'm sure your parents, Canadian, they want nothing but the best for you. I guarantee it. And maybe them focusing on the things that are wrong or the bad things is just like them trying to put you on the right path. Maybe you're a good kid and like those good things just kind of are taken for granted because just like YouTube comments, they're so plentiful, right? So you feel like those are the things. And, I get easily offended, I suppose, and maybe I have a thin skin. And sometimes when you get criticized, which is what I think you're talking about here, sometimes that can really hurt. But the best thing you can do is just kind of sit on it for a minute. Don't snap back, and because I've done that too. Like, just let it go, and I think you'll find yourself like having much fewer regrets if you do that. But I like your idea there at the end is to focus less on the bad, more on the good, and I think maybe that's something that we could all work on, including myself. But thank you for that comment, man. I really appreciate you taking the time over here. Next one we have is from Chris Robinson. Still on the topic. He says, hey, Greg, I can identify with your frustrations about reviews for your podcast. As I've mentioned before, I've been doing a podcast for a few months, and we don't seem to get very many reviews on Apple Podcasts. But I think the main thing to remember is that you're doing what you do because you absolutely love it. When you stay true to that, you get rewarded. I have a big win of the week. And can I just talk about that for one moment? We've talked about money before being certificates of appreciation. And if you really want to be truly wealthy in this world financially, there's a lot of other signs of success than financial wealth. But if you want to do that, find a way to impact the most number of people that you can in the biggest way that you can. And that's how you'll find wealth. You think about, let's go back to Steve Jobs, for example. He was a billionaire because he affected billions of people. And I'm assuming there's probably over 1 billion iPhones out there. I would have to assume. Bill Gates, similar situation. You make Windows that's on every single computer. Rightfully or wrong, you're impacting people. I used to impact people at my other job just in a small way. I impact people now, more people, and maybe a slightly bigger way. And I've been able to find a way to make a living doing this, which I'm really appreciative of. And I really do feel like this is my calling, and that's why I'm here. So thank you for being here with me if you survive this long. But Chris has a win of the week. We usually save these for the end, but since it's in the middle here, I'm going to share it because I love it. He says, I have a big win of the week. My wife and I are buying the home that we're currently renting. We love this house, and the housing market where we live is bananas, so we're grateful to get the stability of home ownership. It's been amazing having a space for my Lego, and it's nice to know that it'll be around for longer than the term of a lease. Time to start hoarding Lego. Only joking. One more thought on the topic of being too real. One of my favorite podcasts ended this year because of something one of the hosts said and the way he reacted to people's criticism. I'm not going to weigh in on who said what, but the point that I took away from it is that real people are messy. All of us are. So when you share your true feelings, they aren't always going to make people happy, and they might not even come out right. You might have to make some apologies, and you should if you've been hurtful. But hopefully the people who truly enjoy your content will understand that most of us are doing our best, even if we are flawed. Don't stop being real. I'm here for it, and I know others are too. I think that is fantastic advice, and that's the advice that I really needed. So thank you so much, Chris, for leaving those kind words and taking the time to comment to that. And this next one here kind of fits in its own space, but it's a kind of a testimonial, and I wanted to share this with you guys because I think this could impact someone out there. This is from Ridge, and he says, "Hey Greg, I've commented before but under my Lego name, but the past few episodes plus some life events has inspired me to start my minimalist journey. I tried last year but it failed, but I've realized that I was not collecting Lego for the right reasons. I was trying to be like the other YouTubers and bring back the good memories from childhood by holding on to Legos and buying them." That hits close to home. But ultimately, it wasn't bringing me happiness. I know this is sad news, but I no longer collect Lego for my own mental sake, financial sake, but I'm also tired of the drama in the community. And that's why you're the only one I still connect with and follow, because you're genuine and honest and don't try to create drama. I do. I want to create a fake drama with someone else. I've actually done this once before, but it had really bad consequences for Ryan, who almost got canceled because of it. But I want to do some WWE style, like back and forth stuff, not some real things, but just something to get people riled up. Be like, listen here, brother, I'm calling, I think I need to make a character. I think I need to do that. Anyways, no real drama here, hopefully. I can't take, my heart can't take it. He says, "You're just you, and that's what I find inspiring about you. My true passion," this is where I like this, "my true passion is traveling in exotic cars. So to bring it back to my last comment, I'm now an insurance agent and I've started my first business. It's very scary and don't know how I'll succeed, but I know that nothing good in life comes from being comfortable. It comes from stepping out into the uncomfortable and just doing it. I'll continue to listen to these episodes each week. Start at episode 1. Keep safe out there. Keep up the amazing work. You're truly the most genuine member and face to the true Lego community." I don't know about that part, but I do love what you said here about stepping out of your comfort zone. I think as humans, one of our most important things that we try to do is to stay comfortable, right? Like, you don't want to go outside in the cold without a jacket on. You don't want to not take a hot shower. You don't want to sleep in a tent. Like, you strive for comfort, and that's your body's natural reaction. Like, you want to be comfortable. You don't want to starve to death. You don't want to die, and your body's like, "Oh, do the easy thing. We don't need to expend energy on that. Let's just curl up here on the couch and watch TV and not go out and conquer today." And it's tempting, right? So you really have to fight with yourself to do these things. And I like what you're doing. I can tell just by your comment that you're going to be successful, because that mentality leads to success. If there's something that you want in this world, most times it's not going to be handed to you. You're going to have to go out and work for it. Unless you have rich parents and you're going to inherit all their wealth and just do nothing with your life, you're going to have to go on that grind. And if you want it bad enough, you will. And you'll be willing to put the time and effort in. And if you don't have that passion or that purpose to do that, it's probably not something you wanted anyway. And my advice would be to not do it, because you're never going to make it. And that's kind of centered around people that want to get on YouTube and be a Lego YouTuber. And then 3 videos in, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to edit these videos. No one's watching my videos. I don't want to do this." Well, you're not going to make it. Like, you got to be into it. Speaking of advice, let's move on to Advice-itect. Had a couple peeps reach out with some things that they wanted my advice on, and I'm happy to share my thoughts. First one's from Webmaster, who is a repeat offender on here. Always love seeing from him. He says, "Hey, I need some advice. Similar to you, I'm in the market to buy my first car. I want a Ford F-150. Excellent choice." He says, "My budget is limiting me, and it's hard to find a nice one in my price range. My older brother, who has an F-150, is also in the market for a new car and offered me his truck for a good deal. His truck needs new tires, new exhaust system, and new heat. Other than that, it's in great shape. What do you think I should do? Buy a similar truck that might cost more and be hard to find, or get an amazing deal on a bit of a fixer-upper?" I'll tell you exactly what you should do. You should buy your brother's truck for 2 reasons. One, it's history. It's been his truck. Assuming that your brother's a responsible dude, he's probably taking care of it. Sure, it needs some things. Tires aren't that bad. You can put those on. In fact, you're going to get tires for less than the sales tax that you would have probably paid on that similar truck. I don't know what year this is. I'm assuming a little bit older, being that it needs these repairs. But just the sales tax alone on a truck's going to hurt you. And then you got, look at my situation. They're selling my car for $15,000 on what they value at $8,000. You're paying a huge premium there. on used vehicles and new vehicles. And in my opinion, you'd be much better off you're getting somebody else's headache possibly. Like they traded that vehicle in for a reason. Was it just because they wanted something bigger for their family? Or was it because this thing's been a giant lemon and they just needed to get it off their hands? Now the dealer's like, hey, it's all yours now. I would go for the brother's truck. I would put the new tires on it and the exhaust. It's not going to be that bad. The heat, you might be okay with for like the next 6 months or so, depending on where you live. So you got some time to work on that. But I would do the stuff that needs done to it. Get your truck on a deal. Enjoy the heck out of it. And then maybe start saving for a newer truck. And then someday you can trade that in. Or maybe you'll just love it and keep it forever. Like my decision has been. But that is absolutely the decision to make, especially if your brother vouches for it. And he's giving you a good deal on top of that. You're getting the family discount. No brainer. But I'm going to pass this off to the rest of the peeps watching this. This is for Webmaster. What do you guys think he should do with the truck? Should he buy his brother's? Or do you think he should just be like, no, I'm going to go get one at a dealership? I think this is the way. This is the way. Next advice detect comes from Lizard Eggnog, another repeat offender. He says, hey, Greg, this podcast has inspired me to start my own, and I've been thinking hard about it and what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it generational. It'll include myself. This is the part I love. It'll include myself, my mom, and my grandma. We'll discuss our opinions on different topics and events going on in the world. Thoughts? And also suggestions on which mic is good for a starter in the podcast game. Thanks. Dude, I love this concept that you have 3 different generations of people talking about the same thing because you're all going to see it from a different way. And I think that is going to be a really fun listen. As for a mic, I have a Blue Yeti microphone that I'm using right now. And you can decide how it sounds. Does it sound good? Does it sound bad? I think it's pretty decent. I haven't had anybody come out to me outside of my one episode that my computer frizzled out on, and I'm really hoping that doesn't happen today or ever, but it does occasionally. And it might be happening now where it sounds staticky. I've had no one tell me that my audio sounds bad. I wouldn't focus too much on the equipment. I would try to focus on just making that content, and it'll go from there. But I wish you the best of luck with that. I think it's going to be a really interesting podcast. Next one here. This is the last piece of advice, or maybe just a question. It's from Junk Build. He says, Greg, as a fellow former employee in the finance field, and change this up a little bit, wouldn't you recommend a higher deductible than $500? You mentioned insurance company not liking claims, which is one reason among others. Thanks for the feedback. He's talking about Cody smashing her truck up and with a deer. The deer smashed her truck, or she smashed the deer with her truck. Whatever happened there. And I mentioned about how we filed a claim and then had to pay a $500 deductible. A deductible is used by insurance companies to encourage you to not file claims on small things. So if you had like a $400 repair or maybe a $700 repair, you probably wouldn't file the claim because you're already paying $500 out of pocket already. You can, and what Junk Builds is referring to here is you can raise that deductible up, and it brings your monthly premiums down because you're now responsible for, say, $1,000 deductible. So say she hit the deer and there was $2,000 damage, she'd be responsible for paying the first $1,000, and then the insurance company would pay the remainder. And you can do that. I would only recommend that to people that have the $1,000 just kind of sitting around, because that's a huge chunk of change when something bad happens. And that's every time something happens, you have to pay that $1,000. Your premiums are lower throughout the rest of the year. So if you're pretty confident that nothing's going to happen, or if you're not going to, it's hard to say what could happen because somebody could smash into the back of your car in a parking lot at any time. You have to look out for other drivers way more than yourself, it seems. But you could do that. I feel like $500 is like reasonable. I don't know how much of a difference it would make if we moved to $1,000, but I know I looked at this before in our old insurance, and it wasn't enough of a difference to really to justify it. And I know just like that would hurt my soul to know that, something else happens, like a hit and run or a deer or whatever, and it's like, well, there goes $1,000. That's a tough pill to swallow. So I think in most people, 500 is the most common, and that's where I feel comfortable at. You can make it way higher if you want to. You can make it $2,000, and I'm sure your premiums go way down because it's like your vehicle's almost going to be totaled or whatever for that to pay out, right? So you got some options if you're in the world of car insurance, and maybe our last guy there, Webmaster, he's in the market for getting insurance on his first truck, and you can make that decision. In your case, I would probably go with the lower deductible. Yours is already going to be pretty high as a beginning driver, but hopefully you can get on your parents' policy and you'll be okay. We've got one last topic here before we go into the wins. This is the requested topic of the week. This is a new segment that I think I'm going to start to encourage you guys to give me some ideas of things to talk about. And this is from Dressy Sphinx, who says, I would like to see Greg talk about the topic of procrastination. I would love to talk about it. Maybe we can talk about it later, though. I'm procrastinating on it. I'm kidding, of course. Procrastination is not as bad as people make it out to be. As long as, if you have a deadline to get something done, let's say you have a month to get this thing done you need to do, and you know it's only going to take you a week, you have the option to do it now and get it done and turn it in or whatever it is, or you can kind of just piss around a little bit and wait until the last minute and get it done. Either way, if you're able to get the thing done that you need to get done and it meets your specifications, and if you're happy with the output, there is no problem in procrastination. Now, I say that because if you have to take a test or whatever and you have a week to study for it, and you decide to wait until the last hour before the test to study, and then you go and take the test and you end up getting a score much lower than what's acceptable to you, whatever that may be, where you fail it, that's when procrastination doesn't work. But I find in my life the pressure of a deadline really does help me get things done. If you want to, and I've done this, I've set false deadlines for myself. Like, you could do this even when you're getting ready for something. So like, you have to be somewhere at 3 o'clock today. Be like, no, I have to be there at 2, which makes you all of a sudden be way more ambitious in getting ready and getting your stuff done, because if it's 2 instead of 3, like, that's your deadline. So a false deadline can help with procrastination. But unless your procrastination is negatively affecting your life, like if you are constantly having problems because of it, you need to make some changes. But if you're getting your stuff done and you're happy with it, procrastinate away, my friend. Let's end this segment off, or this episode off, with some wins of the week. We got a couple here. First one is from Christian. It says, hey, Greg, another great podcast. I want to let you know that a lot of us are here for you and your wonderful family. Thank you. It says, you're a big inspiration to me, and I hope that you can keep going strong here on YouTube. Me too. He says, my win of the week was finding out I'm going to Columbus Crew soccer game. My dyslexia is kicking in here, which is my local team in Ohio. I hope you have a great week. Dude, I hope you had fun at your soccer game. I'm assuming that already happened. Give me an update. Let me know the score. Let me know how much fun you had there and what you ate at the game. Those are the things that I need to know in my life. Last win of the week. Only 2 this week. Other than the one we shared earlier. This is from brickitect. I like that name. It says, my win of the week is I got 2 Lego games on sale for $15, and the original price of them together was $70. Win. That's a win. Anytime you can get a deal, flip those bad boys, put them on eBay, or just enjoy the heck out of them, play them. I want to wrap this up. Thank you guys for sharing your wins of the week. If you'd like to share your win of the week for next week, just like I shared mine and these guys shared theirs, leave it in here. We can do rapid fire. It might be a ton of them. There might be a few, but I like to share what you guys are doing. And it kind of like sets us off on like a positive note, right? Like, hey, winning. People are out there winning. Maybe you have a loss of the week. Next week, you're going to have a win. Look at the good stuff and focus on that. And what you put out there will come back to you. I truly believe that, even though it sounds kind of crazy. I want to wrap this up here with some huge thank yous. I haven't been thanking the patrons lately. I'm going to thank the patrons that joined us here in April. I want to thank Zach, Gregory, genius name there. I love it. We got Jesse. This name, TRV3Y. Maybe it's like Trevi. And then we got Gustav and Angelica. They all joined our Patreon here in April, and I appreciate the support, guys. If you would like to support this podcast, this channel, and our family, you can join us on Patreon, where we're doing exclusive live streams every Friday night. I'm actually going to be putting out exclusive content over there, just documenting little things that I'm doing throughout the day and stuff, because I want that to be like my little, my place. We also have a Discord, which I'm very active in. It's like one of my favorite places to hang out. All you have to do is donate or pledge $1 each month, and you get access to Discord. $5 gets you into our streams where you can hang out. It's like a little community there. And I need more people in there chatting with me. The past Friday, man, I'm sitting here like doing my thing, and I'm like, where'd everyone go? Everybody, the chat died. And then like Felix revived it with a question, which was, we should put this question out if anyone's still listening. What is the one item that you would bring to a deserted island if you can only choose one item? And that spurred it. And I really need that in my life. You can only sit so long, as evidenced by this podcast. You can only sit so long and talk about whatever's in your mind. It really helps to have like people to bounce that off of. And that's why I love those guys. And I love the Patreon peeps in the Discord. I'm also going to be starting to do a contest over there to give away some sets that I came up with this genius idea this morning, which I'll be announcing and posting elsewhere. But if you get enjoyment out of this podcast, it would really be helpful if you supported us over there. But if you don't want to, if that's not your thing, if you don't have money or whatever the case is, if you don't want to be in our group, just enjoy the heck out of these podcasts. That's all. It's easy. Again, you don't owe us anything at all, and I accept that, right? Like, It's all it is. If you got enjoyment out of this, if I see just that little number where someone listened to this, I'm going to assume that hopefully that they enjoyed it. Maybe they made it this far, maybe they didn't. This is a huge ask and a huge commitment for people. But I am really thankful if you're here right now. If this is still going through your ears right now, thank you so much for being here for me and listening to my week and my thoughts and wherever the heck this journey takes us. I'm thankful to have you along, and I just wish you the best. So thank you so much for listening. And as always, we'll find you in the next Missing Pieces.